Good morning, my name is J. Monroe Johnson, and I am the Leonard Skinner brother. I'd like to start this video today, May the 31st, 2024, telling you, the good people of America, the Marshall County, Alabama, USA officials mafia is like a virus, a criminal regime manifesting violent theft via sabotage crimes against innocent, peaceful Americans and attempting to make the public believe that what they are doing is right. They attempt to create the illusion of justice and legality as they subvert democracy and engage in hate, theft, sabotage, revenge, and death conspiracies based on their warped social, religious, and political ideologies and violent crimes. The Miss Eugenia's Justice story is of an Alabama gangster regime that not only uses violence and suppression, but who kills the good people of Alabama. They killed my mother's brother, which is my uncle, David Keith Rogers, August 7th, 1965, by forced suicide, Marshall County. They're now attempting to do the same to my mother. 60 years later, they're back. The white male, white supremacist of Marshall County, Alabama, USA. And we ask that you contact your federal representatives today. This story is real. These judges have signed illegal judgments, million-dollar and multi-million-dollar crimes by these judges in this courthouse. The Marshall County, Alabama, USA courthouse in Guntersville, Alabama. They not only break the law, they commit violent crimes against elderly, disabled Americans. It is true. They stress to death my spiritual grandpa, Roger Coit Chappell, aka Brother Chappell, as he begged for his life. This sheriff has bragged that he would abuse us and steal our property. This is about the 10th time they've attacked my family to rob us. The judges, the lawyers, the bankers, the lawmen, the juries, and they meet at their radical churches and for their satanic interpretation of God. They want to incapacitate people in order to kill them, and in ultimately quest to steal property. It's a theft ring. They are life unworthy of freedom and must be excluded from our society. A federal grand jury indictment can fix this. Alabama's unrepentant and immoral lifestyle is exposed. All lies will be exposed. And the truth is the Spirit, is the light. It is God, and we have all three. We have the truth, we have the Spirit, we got God. I want you to understand, they audited our 23 finance office, financial conglomerate, determined our net worth was $5 to $6 million. Under the guise of a routine audit, they counted every penny we had on the books. And with our real estate holdings, our accounts receivables, and other assets, they determined our net worth was $5 to $6 million, and then they extorted us for $5 million, as exposed in the Supreme Court case number 1051726, Federal Credit Inc. versus Greg Fuller, a unanimous Supreme Court ruling against the crimes of Alabama. These circuit court judges are state agents. They're not county employees, they are state employees. And they are committing crimes in the name of the law when they know they are violating the law. They then sabotaged $10 million, held up our license over 9 months, and systematically strangled to death our 23-office financial conglomerate and bankrupted us because we appealed their $5 million extortion scheme to the Supreme Court. And when the Supreme Court took our case, they refused to give us our license. The Marshall County judges. The first judge that executed the illegal $5 million extortion scheme is Judge David Evans. He rebelled against the United States and Alabama constitutions because both of those sacred documents provide specific protections for the individual American and Alabama citizens against criminal tyranny. The second judge was Circuit Court Judge Timothy Jolly, and he withheld our license for over 9 months and strangled our business to death out of revenge for the Supreme Court taking our case. Then when the Supreme Court ruling was released April 15th, 2011, the county attempted to steal a $1 million prime commercial real property located at 10745 U.S. Highway 431, Albertville, Alabama 35950, USA. They did that through our banker, Margaret Lacey, Vice President of Cadence Bank. She gave away all of our operating capital, $40,000 cash under the guise of cashing stolen checks. It was another conspiracy by the county. They conspire with lawyers, they conspire with bankers, they conspire with juries, ultimately in violent theft schemes, million-dollar crimes, and multi-million-dollar crimes against us, the Leonard Skinner family of Northeast Alabama. My brother is Damon Rogers Johnson, the lead guitarist for Leonard Skinner. It is a notable distinction. And they target us for what we have. Brother Chappell said jealousy led to murder throughout the Bible, and it started with Cain and Abel. This tragedy started with jealousy by the white male white supremacists against the first multi-millionaire female financier, my mother, Eugenia Rogers Johnson Collins, aka Eugenia R. Collins. Her maiden name is Rogers. We are from Germany. We are German Americans. Her Hofreister Rogers was shortened to Rogers when our ancestors moved from Germany to the United States. Then they attacked us again after our banker, Margaret Lacey, gave away all of our operating capital. Circuit Court Judge Timothy Francis Riley executed another illegal judgment. Why? Revenge for the Supreme Court ruling. And to target us. These are targeted killings by these judges against an innocent American family. They started this with a $5 million extortion scheme after they criminally surveilled us. Imagine that a fire marshal, for example, inspects your home under the guise of fire prevention, and then your home is burglarized shortly thereafter, and the thief is caught, and on his cell phone are photos sent to him by the fire marshal of your personal property. We have had no issues with the fire department or any firemen in this tragedy. It's the judges and the lawmen, specifically Sheriff Phil Sims, an absolute dangerous criminal. A bank insider overheard him bragging that he would harm us and steal our property. Well, this is about the 12th time that the judges and the lawmen of Marshall County have conspired with lawyers and bankers and juries to rape, rob, pillage, slander, steal, kill, destroy, and set my family on fire. That $40,000 theft, which was actually a cash giveaway by the county and the bank, was an attempt to force our property into unjust forced bank foreclosure, to steal $1 million prime commercial real property. The property I gave you the address earlier, 10745. When that didn't work, Sheriff Phil Sims said he'd get it done. So he planted illegal drugs on me, illegal firearms on me, and they had me SA'd April 15th, 2019 by my chiropractor, now ex-chiropractor, John Allen Smith. This is a dangerous criminal regime manifesting violent theft via sabotage crimes against innocent, peaceful Americans and attempting to make the public believe that what they are doing is right. They attempt to create the illusion of justice and legality as they subvert democracy and engage in hate, theft, sabotage, revenge, and death conspiracies based on their warped social, religious, and political ideologies and violent crimes. They have now sabotaged approximately $1.5 million in our fourth private business enterprise, executing rampant theft. You've got to understand, when you've got judges issuing illegal judgments against you, it sends a loud message to criminals that it's open season on the county's hate, theft, and revenge target. That's why they do it, to get you destroyed. And when you've got law enforcement officers spreading lethal lies, vicious slander, that's ultimately to get you killed. That's what makes this a targeted killing. They've already killed my uncle David Keith Rogers with similar tactics, August 7th, 1965, and he shot himself and he killed himself. They have now attacked my mother with similar tactics after they have killed my spiritual grandpa, Roger Coit Chapel. They stressed him to death after threatening him with jail because he asked for a fair and impartial trial. And he specifically said to Judge Mitch Floyd on August 16, 2022, Your Honor, we just want to know who ordered him to do it. We being Collins, Johnson, and Brother Chapel. Him being chiropractic Dr. John Allen Smith. And to do it is essay against me, Eugenia R. Collins' youngest son. Notice that they're attacking their theft target's youngest son because they know the son will protect his mother. They want me out of the way so they can financially rape my mother. They've already raped my mother over and over and over. Socially, occupationally, judicially, financially. And it must stop. Again, ask yourself, how are we to live in this American society? And why are we to live that way? We're to live within the confines of the United States Constitution, which is to be adjudicated through the jury system And this county courthouse rigged that system. They rigged the American judicial system. They have upset my mother, and I ask you to stop them. I ask them to not upset my mother. We are right, and they are sexist. This is a gender-based hate, theft, sabotage, and revenge civil rights crime against an innocent American female tax-paying civilian. My mother, 84 years of age, retired Alabama high school guidance counselor with a master's degree in being attacked by a $32.5 billion Cadence Bank vice president, Margaret Lacey, that doesn't even have a college degree. She graduated from Memphis High School. And she has conspired with Marshall County to take my family down, and I ask you to stop them. I close with a quote. After Googling what is the First Amendment, the First Amendment provides that Congress make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting its free exercise. It protects freedom of speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. This is a governmental redress by the Leonard Skinner family, and specifically Eugenia R. Collins and J. Monroe Johnson, for grievances. Marshall County, Alabama, which is the state of Alabama, USA. They have executed targeted killings against my family to rob us of our property. And they have killed two of us. That's my Uncle David Keith Rogers, August 7th, 1965, and Roger Coit Chappell, aka Brother Chappell, August 31st, 2022. And we ask that you stop this madness by contacting your federal representatives today and demanding justice for Miss Eugenia and associates. I quote Robert E. Lee, and understand it was the white male, white supremacists of the South that started the Civil War, 1861, in defiance of the office of the president that demanded that they stop chattel slavery. It had become too violent. Yet they could continue making money in the cotton industry by paying the African Americans for their labor and increasing the price that they sold the cotton for. And the South would have no part of it. And they attempted to steal the southern half of the North American continent from the United States in order to declare their sovereignty and in order to ultimately continue to steal the payroll monies from the African Americans. And they brought hell, fire, and fury on the beautiful South. Homes, crops, barns, men, women, children, livestock, all killed in the Civil War. Arrogance from ignorance. It's the most dangerous thing on the planet, folks. Arrogance from ignorance. No one's above the law. If you're not willing to operate within the confines of the United States Constitution, the federal and state laws, then leave the country. Go somewhere else. What a cruel thing is war. This is a quote by Robert E. Lee after the Civil War and after he saw what he had been party to. He was on the wrong side of history, and he should have not taken part in declaring war on the United States. That dispute should have been mediated. Once wars start, they never end. Here's Robert E. Lee's quote: "What a cruel thing is war, to separate and destroy families and friends and mar the purest joys and happiness God has granted us in this world, to fill our hearts with hatred instead of love for our neighbors, and to devastate the fair face of this beautiful world." Robert E. Lee. 1865 after the damage was done. Would he do it over differently? You bet you. He would do it over differently if he could. He can't. The question regarding the Civil War is, should Jefferson Davis have he been charged with treason? You decide if Jefferson Davis, the President of the Confederacy, should have been charged with treason. Treason was defined in the Constitution and clarified in an 1862 law. Anyone that provides aid and comfort to enemies of the United States, anyone that provides aid and comfort to enemies of the United States is guilty of treason. And if you violate the United States Constitution, you're guilty of treason, especially when you do it in million-dollar and multi-million-dollar violent crimes and against innocent tax-paying American civilians that are disabled and elderly. A World War II, war disabled, Navy veteran, high priest in the Melchizedek priesthood for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and great-grandson of Kaiser Wilhelm II. Yeah, it's treasonous. An Alabama cotton farmer's daughter, born 1939 on an 80-acre cotton farm. No electricity, no running water. Yes, it's treason. I asked Marshall County to get their hands off my mother. Like, share, and subscribe. I close with one final thought. The Lord, your God, is with you. He is the mighty warrior. I'm going to let this traffic pass, read this Bible verse, and close this video. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe. Keep us in your prayers. Pray justice for Miss Eugenia. Pray for the villains in this story. They're facing 30 years in the federal penitentiary. That is 10 years for civil rights crimes, 10 years because unlawful death, is involved. That's Brother Chappell's unlawful death, August 31st, 2022. And SA is also involved. Each of those carry a 10-year federal penitentiary confinement sentence. Every person involved in this civil rights conspiracy crime is facing 30 years in the federal penitentiary. The Lord your God is with you. He is the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight over you and celebrate over you with singing